Okay, so today we are talking about some of the most overrated makeup products available at Sephora. I did a video like this back in the fall, and I think the difference is in that video I included a lot of products that didn't work for me personally, so I didn't understand the hype. But in today's video, I'm talking about a lot of products I actually own that I think are really good, but not necessarily as life-changing as you might expect based on the hype. I think makeup has always been overhyped, and people get really excited about makeup, myself included, so I'm sure I'm guilty of overhyping products too. But I think with the rise of short form content and the fact that you have to capture people's attention so quickly before they scroll away has really contributed to the hype of makeup in general, with the over exaggerated faces and the surprise gasps as soon as people apply something. Makeup is good, and there are so many amazing products out there, but I do think a lot of these products are very, very overrated. So I'm going to share them with you in today's video. Today's video is just for fun. If you absolutely love these products and you think they deserve the hype, that is totally valid. A lot of these products are really good, but I would love to know, like, what is the most overrated product that you've seen on social media, or like the most overrated brand in general? Let me know. Okay, so let's start with a foundation. The Makeup by Mario Surreal Skin Liquid Foundation got so much hype when it launched. I think it launched like very end of December, beginning of January. We were actually out of town and I wasn't on social media a ton. But then when I went on Instagram, like my feed was flooded with pictures and reviews and first impressions of this product, and TikTok too. And I feel like after the hype died down a little bit, we saw some mixed reviews, which is really interesting. But by that point, a ton of people had already purchased it. So I do own this foundation and I do like it. I don't know that I've ever done a video using it because I wasn't completely sure if it was going to work really well for me, because sometimes glowy or luminous foundations can be amazing. Sometimes they'll break apart. So I wanted to really like thoroughly test it off camera before I used it. And I still don't know that I've actually used it in a video. I'll use it in an upcoming one so you can see what it looks like. But I will say this foundation is so overhyped. It does give your skin a really pretty, glowy, luminous finish. It looks so healthy on the skin, but I do think you can achieve that type of look by mixing in any sort of like those glowy base products that are so popular right now. Everyone is duping the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless filters. So if you have that, or you have e.l.f.'s version, or you have any sort of like glowy, luminous product, and you use it as a base or you mix it with your foundation, you're going to end up getting something very similar. In fact, sometimes I think that actually might be the more ideal option, because if you have a foundation that wears well, looks good on the skin, you can add that glow to one of your staple foundations. And obviously it's more customizable. You can add a lot, you can add a little bit. So again, I think the Makeup by Mario foundation is pretty on the skin, but I also think it is achievable with products you already own. Also, that foundation doesn't necessarily last that well on my skin. I mean, it looks good for, I don't know, I'm trying to think, maybe like 5 or 6 hours, and then after that it does start to wear off, maybe break apart a little bit, because it is a glowy foundation. I do deal with a little bit of oiliness these days, so that's not unheard of for me. But at the same time, if I have to like touch up my makeup throughout the day, add extra powder and blot, it does kind of remove some of like that natural glowy luminosity. Again, it is a pretty foundation. I think that it does look good on the skin, but I do think it is very, very overrated, significantly overhyped, and I'm sure you could probably create that if you have a go-to foundation and some sort of glowy base already. I don't know if that's going to be as much of an unpopular opinion as this next one, because this next one I feel like got even more hype. The Haus Labs Triclone Skin Tech Medium Coverage Foundation. This one is, how much were these both? Okay, so Makeup by Mario is 42, Haus Labs is 45. I was never really like a big high-end foundation fan, but I did end up purchasing both of these. And like I said, I have them both, I enjoy them both. I think the Haus Labs one is probably more suited toward my skin type than Makeup by Mario. I also think Haus Labs did an amazing job with their shade range, and they tend to do that not just with their complexion products, but also their cheek products, like their bronzers, their highlighters, their blushes. So I definitely love that about the brand. So I think I said out of the two, I think I prefer this one. But again, I do think the hype surrounding this foundation is so intense. And I think, you know, based on the reviews, this one doesn't get as many mixed reviews. So I do understand that it can work well for oily skin, for dry skin, for skin in between. But I mean, on the skin, it looks like a foundation. I do think it applies nicely. It's very easy to blend out, whether you use your fingers or a sponge or a brush, which is nice. But I do find that it kind of looks a little bit makeup-y. And for me personally, I do deal with a lot of texture. I have fine lines, and this foundation can tend to enhance those. It's not quite as smoothing or blurring as I would have hoped because when you initially apply it, it does feel very smooth on the skin, but after a few hours, it definitely starts to enhance those. It also oxidizes on me. So I did end up getting a shade that was a little bit too dark, and then once it dries down and starts to oxidize throughout the day, it's significantly too dark. I did order a foundation mix-in to lighten my foundations, which will be so nice because then I'll be able to actually wear them a little bit more during the winter or as we head into the spring. But again, I think it is a nice formula. I just don't think it's necessarily life-changing, as you might deduce based on a lot of the reviews that it gets. So if you've tried those foundations, what do you think? Are they overrated, or are they really like your new go-to favorite foundation? Let me know. I think Makeup by Mario and Haus Labs as a whole do launch really beautiful, high-quality formulas, but I think the brands themselves get a ton of hype for every single launch just because they are kind of like newer it brands. I do have a product from Merit, and I have to say, Merit is a brand I really enjoy. I think a lot of brands try to be like that easy, effortless, everyday brand, but I think Merit nails it. And I'm not really even like a quick, easy makeup look type of person. I rarely go for like minimal makeup. When I do though, Merit products are the ones I reach for because they blend out in seconds. So I think where Merit really shines is like their complexion products, their cheek products that are so easy to use that look very effortless. But I have to say, I got a sample of their Shade Slick Tinted Lip Oil in a Sephora Favorites kit last year, and I tried it out, and I think last year this product was getting a little bit more hype, maybe even the year before that, and I really did not understand the hype at all. I've tried a lot of lip oils, and I feel like inevitably they wear off fairly quickly because they're very oily, very thin. They feel good, they look glossy, but they're not necessarily long lasting. That being said, I usually do want it to stay in place for more than like a few minutes. I felt like as soon as I was done applying that product, like it pretty much started wearing off immediately. And I usually do like for my lip products to last just a little bit longer, especially because the Merit ones have a good amount of color. I only tried one shade. So I tried the shade Marrakesh, but looking up the shades online, like there are even shades that have more pigment than that one. So I do feel like when you're wearing a lip product that has pigment, especially, you usually want it to last a little bit longer than a few minutes. And that one just did not stay on my lips at all. I also felt like after it wore off, my lips felt kind of dry, which defeats the purpose of a lip oil for me personally. So I just scrolled down and I'm literally reading. It says benefits, hydrating and long wearing, which is the exact opposite of what I just said. So unfortunately that didn't work for me. I don't really understand the hype surrounding that product. I think the color was really pretty, and I think that shade specifically did get a lot of hype. So I kind of understand where people are coming from with that, but I just felt like the actual formula wasn't great, especially for the price tag. So obviously a lot of the things I'm sharing in today's video are unpopular opinions because these products get a ton of hype, some for good reason, maybe, but this one I think is going to be my most unpopular opinion. Don't get mad at me if you love this product or you love this brand because I also love the brand. I think Rare Beauty has gorgeous products. I love Selena Gomez. I think she is one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen in my life, and she just seems like a good person. I'm totally team Selena. But the Warm Wishes Effortless Bronzer Stick, I just feel like is so overhyped. I've been rotating through my cream bronzers in 2023. So since the beginning of the year, I've gone back to that one at least like 5 or 6 times, maybe even more than that. And I just don't like it as much as my Makeup by Mario bronzer stick or the LYS bronzer stick. Part of the issue is maybe it's a little bit too warm for me. I have the shade Happy Soul, and I think it's described differently than it looks on the skin. They describe it as a light brown with cool undertones, but on me it is incredibly warm toned. It looks very, very orangey. So I don't get any sort of cool undertone from it, which is fine because it is a bronzer stick. So honestly, I didn't expect it to really look cool on the skin, but I feel like when I wear it, it just makes me look very orange. The other thing is it's very creamy, very, very lightweight. So it blends in very nicely, but I almost feel like when I wear it, I notice a little bit of patchiness. Like it almost picks up the foundation underneath. Not in the way that other products do. Like sometimes when I apply a cheek product, it picks up my foundation and my skin looks incredibly uneven. When I wear this one, like the bronzer itself looks smooth, but underneath the foundation is kind of missing in a few areas. So I don't know, there's just something about the formula that is not my personal ideal formula. And I think there are so many bronzer sticks out there these days that I like better, that stay in place a little bit better, that maybe don't blend out as easily, but are more long lasting and look extra smooth on the skin. So again, I know that's an unpopular opinion. I love Rare Beauty, I love Selena, but that product itself I think is pretty overhyped considering there are so many good bronzers out there. So I picked up one of the Urban Decay Moon Dust eyeshadows a few months ago. I actually had Ulta points, and whenever I have Ulta points, I feel like I kind of splurge on something that I might not pay full price for. These are $24 single shadows, which for me, I don't know if I've ever spent $24 on one single shadow. For some reason, I'll spend like $24 on a lip gloss or on a blush, but when it comes to eyeshadow, I feel like I have a hard time. I think it's because I used to love eyeshadow palettes so much, and just knowing that I could spend like a few more dollars and get an entire palette, that was a little bit more appealing to me. I do tend to kind of lean more into single shadows these days, so I understand the hype surrounding like a really beautiful formula you'll get a ton of use out of. But I still think the Moon Dust eyeshadows are just a little bit overrated. So I have the shade Space Cowboy, and I'm looking at some swatches online. There are some really beautiful colors. I mean, Cosmic looks amazing, Glitter Rock looks absolutely gorgeous, and if I was ever able to get these for a discounted price, like if they were on sale during Ulta's 21 Days of Beauty, I would grab another one, but I don't think I would buy another one at the $24 price tag if I didn't have Ulta points or a discount or a gift card, because I just think there are a lot of beautiful sparkly shadows out there. I've been, again, kind of rotating through all of my eyeshadow palettes, and I feel like there are formulas very similar to this in palettes I own. Today I'm wearing the Patrick Ta Major Dimension 2, and there's a really pretty pink shadow in there that gives a very, very similar effect that I have all over my lid. I also have a little bit of a ColourPop Super Shock shadow, and you know what, I might be a little bit biased because I'm a ColourPop Super Shock shadow fan, but I feel like those give the exact same effect. The formulas are very different. Like Urban Decay's feels, I always say it feels like a hard pan eyeshadow, which doesn't sound appealing, but I feel like it works for that formula. ColourPop's is more of like a creamy, or like a cream to powder. I'm willing to bet if you were eyeshadow palette obsessed like me back in the day, you probably have really beautiful like hidden gems within those palettes that would give you a very similar effect on the eyes. But again, I know people love these for a reason. They are pretty. I just think they're a little bit overrated. We're throwing it back with this product as well. This, I think, has also made a little bit of a comeback due to TikTok over the past year or two. It is the Benefit Benetint. Now, I will preface this by saying I have not used Benefit's Benetint in years. It's been a long time. So there is a chance they reformulated it or maybe performs differently than I remember, but I do think even back then it was very overrated. I remember trying it multiple times and it just didn't work for me. I will say Essence actually launched a product that looks very similar, and I tried to purchase that just to see if I would like it because that one was like $4, I want to say, but it sold out so fast and it hasn't been in stock yet. So there is a demographic out there who enjoys this type of product, but I felt like whenever I used this, the product did not spread or blend very easily at all. Wherever I initially applied the product is where it stayed. So I think Benefit always said like do like 3 dots on your cheek and then blend it in with your fingers or a brush. I would do those 3 dots and then I couldn't actually get it to blend out. They would pretty much stay there. So I would also try like applying it to the back of my hand and then applying it that way. That never worked for me. The most ideal way for me to wear that product was as like a lip tint, but I also felt like it dried down and kind of enhanced like all of the lines in my lips and also dried them out completely. So I don't know, I'm kind of surprised to see this product making such a comeback when there are so many beautiful cream and liquid products out there. This one was almost, in my opinion, just like a little bit too thin to be like a really good option. I do think it did tend to stain the lips better than other cream products out there, so you would get more of that long-lasting tint, but because it dried my lips out, it just wasn't something I ever reached for. So I don't know, do you enjoy Benefit's Benetint? Are you someone who still uses it regularly? Do you have any affordable alternatives? Let me know. I have 2 more makeup products and then 2 skincare products that I wanted to talk about as well. I feel like I could do an entire separate video on skincare, but I'll touch on 2 at the end of this one. So the Kosas Revealer Concealer is actually one of my favorite products. I've repurchased this product multiple times, but I think, you know, as someone who reviews makeup, I can understand that there are products that are really good that still get a ton of hype. And I feel like maybe I personally have been guilty of overhyping this product in the past as well, because I do really enjoy it. I think it looks great as an under eye concealer. It's really nice as a spot concealer as well. but I don't think this concealer is going to change your life by any means. It's also a little bit expensive for what it is. So it's a $30 concealer, but Kosas is known for having products that tend to go bad a little bit more quickly than other brands because they are a clean beauty brand. They might not necessarily use like the same preservatives found in other makeup products that keep them good longer. I will say I haven't had any personal experience with Kosas products expiring very quickly on me, but I also haven't had the best luck with Kosas products, so I do think I tend to declutter them more quickly than I do products from other brands. That being said, I've repurchased this product a few times, and I don't know, it performs very similarly to other concealers I enjoy. It is a nice formula, but I also feel like it's not necessarily steps above any other concealer I own. If you like a smoothing, hydrating formula, there are definitely other formulas out there that perform somewhat similarly. I also think this formula is maybe a little bit thicker than I personally prefer to wear under the eyes day to day. It is very creamy, really smooth, but I think there are other hydrating formulas that are a little bit thinner that feel more comfortable on the skin. So if you're going for longevity and you still want like that smooth hydrating factor, I do think you would enjoy Kosas, but again, you might have concealers in your collection that already cut it and you don't need to necessarily run out and grab this one right away. It's interesting to me that this product has gone so viral, and again, I'm someone who enjoys it. I just don't necessarily see it as like a product that is so worth the hype. Okay, the last makeup product is a mascara. I don't know that this is getting quite as much hype in 2023 as it did a few years ago, but I remember people talking about this mascara so much, and it actually has quite a few reviews online. It's the Ilia Limitless Lash Lengthening Clean Mascara. It has 3,300 reviews, which is kind of a lot. Like if you sort through the mascaras on Sephora's website, the ones that have more than that are ones that have been around forever, like Too Faced Born This Way or like Benefit They're Real. But it does have 4 stars. They say it's a clean, award-winning cult favorite mascara that lifts, lengthens, holds curls, and separates with precision. What I like about this mascara is the fact that it has like that dual-sided wand. So it has one side to lift the lashes and curl them, and then the other side to really lengthen them. And I think whenever a mascara does that, it is kind of nice because it feels like you're almost getting a 2-in-1, especially if you're someone who tends to layer mascaras. I am. I'm actually wearing the Tower 28 mascara with the Milani Lash Extensions mascara. So I usually do reach for like a really good volumizing mascara, and then I might reach for another one that adds like that added length. So the Ilia one gives you both with just the one brush and the one formula, which is nice. But at the same time, I wouldn't necessarily say it's like the best mascara I've ever tried. I've owned it and I think it did a good job, but I never really went back to it like time and time again. I don't know that it really has any major cons as I'm thinking about it. I think it does a good job, it performs well, it stays in place well, but it's not like the most amazing, mind-blowing mascara. It's not going to give you the look of false lashes or anything like that. So it's good. It's something I would definitely try again, but it's not my personal like go-to, the one that I would buy over and over again. I'm not necessarily someone who sticks with like one mascara. I usually like to switch back and forth and try new ones. So maybe that comes down to personal preference, but I do think it was pretty overhyped for what it was. Let's finish up with 2 skincare products. There are so many skincare brands and skincare products that get so much hype at Sephora, and one brand is Drunk Elephant. I will say I'm definitely guilty of overhyping Drunk Elephant in the past. I really enjoyed their products, and I do still enjoy some of them when I use them, but I think at the time when I first discovered Drunk Elephant, I wasn't really using a ton of different skincare products, and I was really getting into skincare for the first time. So their products did make a difference for me, and I saw really good results. And from time to time, when I try them again, I do enjoy them. But I think overall, the brand is very, very overhyped. These days, what's that product that's going viral? They're bronzer drops. Those have been sold out everywhere. I think it's so interesting how like a product can exist for years before it gets like this crazy amount of hype, and then all of a sudden like overnight it goes viral. Anyway, those weren't really for me. I'm not like a big fan of applying like a bronzer drop because I feel like then nothing matches. Like I would apply them to my face and my neck, but then like the rest of my body was very pale. So they weren't for me personally. But another product that I think is very overhyped that I do like, I actually own this. I just used it this morning because I wanted to remind myself of what it was like, is the Drunk Elephant Protini Moisturizer. This was my go-to moisturizer for a really long time. I swear I've gone through like 7 or 8 of these moisturizers because I loved it and I continuously repurchased it over and over. But I feel like over the years, I've realized there are other moisturizers from other brands that are just as good, if not better. And that one does leave my skin feeling very soft, really smooth, but I don't know that it provides the long lasting moisture factor. Why am I saying this weird? I don't know that it provides like long-lasting hydration in the way that I thought it did in the past. I actually still really remember trying it for the first time because I applied it at night, and the next morning when I woke up, like my skin really did look very smooth, very even. But I think what I've come to realize over the years is a lot of moisturizers do that for me. It's just a matter of applying them regularly, applying enough, and I think there are other formulas that I like a little bit better. In the morning, I usually prefer something maybe a little bit more lightweight than the Drunk Elephant Protini, and at night I usually want something a little bit more intense. The Lala Retro Whipped is like their more intense moisturizer, and that is one that I like less than the Protini. And again, I own the Protini right now. I purchased it a while ago because I remember wanting to go back to it, and every time I use it, I'm just like, wanting something a little bit more these days. So for me, that is something I think gets a ton of hype, and it's good, don't get me wrong, but it's not necessarily worth the hype it gets, in my opinion. I will say that product does have a very nice texture if you're a fan of like mixing products. Drunk Elephant is big on like the skincare cocktail where you use a little bit of moisturizer, some serums, and create like your own go-to cocktail. And I think that has a really good texture for that purpose, whereas other products might be a little bit too thick. But overall, it gets a lot of hype. It does for what it is. Another product that gets so much hype is the Pharmacy Makeup Melting Cleansing Balm. What's the official name? The Green Clean Makeup Removing Cleansing Balm. It's $36, and I've tried this off and on throughout the years, like so many times. And I do think it does a good job at removing your makeup and just like melting everything away. But I do think a lot of cleansing balms perform very similarly. I used to use the Drunk Elephant one. I've stopped buying that one. When I do use a cleansing balm, I just use the e.l.f. one. Honestly, as long as it removes my makeup and does not leave like a weird film on my skin or on my eyes, I'm good to go. And the e.l.f. one even like melts off waterproof eye makeup. So I think that one is so good. It's like half the price, and when you break it down price per ounce, it's still cheaper. So let me actually just check. The e.l.f. one is $5.50 an ounce. The Pharmacy one is $10.58 an ounce. So the e.l.f. one is actually half the price per ounce. So for $36, you could get like more than 3 of the e.l.f. cleansing balms and get more product. So again, the Pharmacy one does a great job, but I do think the e.l.f. one is just as good and is less expensive. That's everything I wanted to share with you in today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I know I had some unpopular opinions, so again, if you disagree with me, that is totally okay. The nice part is there are so many makeup products, so many brands these days. So what works for one person might not work for another person, but I feel like that's totally okay because there are so many products to choose from. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think about these products, and I'll see you very soon with a new one. Bye.